Hello there. What is going on, everybody? I am bringing to you today the Garm Bel Iblis Commander Breakdown for Star Wars Armada. I have been running a series of Commander Breakdowns, and this one is for Garm. I am focusing on Rebels first. I'm holding off on doing all of the Imperial Commander Breakdowns just until we get more Super Star Destroyer information, so this way I think that might impact the way some of the commanders work as we learn more about Super Star Destroyers. For example, things like, what's Mahdi gonna do for a Super Star Destroyer? Things like that. So, I am talking about Garm Bel Iblis today. We're still doing Rebels. I also want to remind you guys, if you weren't aware, there is a huge giveaway for a Super Star Destroyer that I am doing right now, and you can win that in the form of a Cool Stuff gift card. I will be announcing that in mid to late December, just before Christmas. And all you have to do to enter that giveaway is become a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. So we're going to talk about Garm Bel Iblis today. What he does, what ships work best with him. Kind of going to go from least to worst. So let's go ahead and take a look at Garm. So Garm says at the start of the first round and the fifth round, each friendly ship may gain a number of command tokens equal to its command value. You do get Garm Bel Iblis in the Assault Frigate expansion, and he's 25 points, so he's a little on the cheaper side, but he's just not very appealing. One of the main reasons I'm not a big fan of him is because the timing. The timing is lousy. Like, the first round, you don't need command tokens. Not usually. Typically, the first round is when a lot of ships will just reveal a command and bank the command token, and sometimes even the second round. So you already start the game banking command tokens. So what Garm does is he allows you not to have to start to bank command tokens. However, there's not many commands you really need to do on the first turn. For example, concentrate fire. You're almost never shooting on the first round. A lot of times you don't even shoot on the second round. Round 3 is when it really starts. Round 3 and 4 are when you really need tokens, and Garm is first and fifth. And a lot of times your ships that might have used that extra engineering token are dead by the fifth round. So that, so his timing is just awfully bad. But you don't need concentrate fire. You don't need engineering on the first turn. You're not going to take any damage, right? You don't need squadrons on the first turn usually because, well, you're not in an engagement range yet, so you can just move your squadrons normally. And nav, a lot of times in my opinion, you don't need to nav as much as a lot of other people do, but this is where some people disagree. And I think for most people out there, what you will do is if you have Garm and you're filling everybody up with tokens, your first command is going to be a nav command, and you'll use that command dial instead of taking a token to give yourself an extra yaw and maybe to adjust your speed. You might just deploy all of your ships at speed 2, knowing that you're going to nav first turn. So if you need to slow down, you can totally slow down, or if you need to speed up, or if you need to vary them, you can do that. So it gives you the ability to do nav first turn, so your opponent can't really tell by your deployment exactly where you're going to be going and what speed your fleet is going to be at. I think that's where the strategy in Garm kind of fits in, so you're not banking tokens and you're getting it more into the commands right away. That's just not my particular style of play, because the way I look at the board saying, well, I know based on where things are, this is kind of how I want to be set up. And this is kind of, I kind of envision my entire flying strategy from the get-go. And I usually don't deviate from that. A lot of the times it's good, but sometimes it's bad. So again, that's just my personal preference. I think I'm probably in the minority here. I think people in general should probably be navving a lot more than I do. I'm not a big nav fan, but I think that's one of the things Garm opens up for you. It's important to know that he's assigning stuff equal to your command value. So if something allows you to take extra tokens, you're still only taking command tokens up to your command value. And that means also if you're running a title that changes your command value or something like that, that impacts this as well. And you can't have more than one copy of the same token. That's just a normal rule, but it's just reminding you he doesn't break this rule. So while I do have him equipped to the Assault Frigate, that's not necessarily where I'm going to have him first. So where do I want to rank these things? Well, that's a good question. Let's go ahead and start this whole process out. So I'm going to start with maybe the worst ship is going to be the GR75. I don't think GR75s are particularly good with Garm because, well, for one, they're almost all the command value 1 ships are not particularly good with Garm because they only have 1 command, so they're only getting 1 token out of him on the first round. They could have banked that anyway. Again, they don't need it. On the 5th round, maybe they don't need it then either. The only use you're going to get out of a GR75 maybe is if you have CommsNet, but again, if you have CommsNet, you're going to take that token and bank it anyway. Maybe if you're running it as a carrier, you can use, you can get 3 out of it, but again, you don't need to. You could just do that first turn anyway. So it gives the GR75s next to nothing. It's not a ship that really takes advantage. Additionally, the next up is the Hammerheads. Hammerheads not particularly good here. Not one of my favorites. Hammerheads again only have command value 1. They're only getting 1 token. Hammerheads can actually be surprisingly good carriers though, because they have the weapons team. So if you were going to run a squadron, like you could surprise some people by maybe you wanted to run torpedo corvettes, people run flight controllers on them or something like that. Maybe even increase your squadron value by 1 with expanded hangar bay. Now this cheap little 36-point ship can, if you've got Garm, maybe it can activate 3 squadrons. But the thing is, you could have just taken a squadron token first turn. This allows you to maybe nav if you need to first turn, and then you can just bank that token. But still, it's not particularly good. This is the better benefit from this is maybe on that 5th turn when you need this guy who is flying on the edges of the board to go ahead and activate those squadrons. Not super great with the Hammerheads. Let's see, we already had the GR75. So next up, I'll say CR90s. CR90s are fairly decent with Garm, and one big reason for that is that they have the support team. So this is where we're going to talk about the value of command tokens, because command tokens as a whole are kind of weaker in this game, but one of the things that makes command tokens better, a lot better, is when they allow you to trigger some other effect by doing the command and not necessarily having to have the dial. So I'm going to look at, a lot of these are through engineering, are the support team. And for example, nav team. Right? If you've got a nav token, you can get an extra yaw. Maybe you want to make a really tight turn with your CR90. They don't really need nav team as much. But engine techs, for example, this one's really good with the CR90s. If maybe you're doing a concentrate fire command because you're running turbolaser reroute circuits and all this other stuff, which is actually a great idea. But you also want to be able to move really fast. Garm could give you that extra nav token so that you can move super fast, and you can take that token, and that's nice, and this can work kind of well with Garm. If you're doing something crazy, you could potentially deploy at speed 2. Your opponent doesn't know what you're going to do. You get a token from Garm, and you do a nav command. Use them both, go up to speed 4, and then also engine tech. So you went from 2 to 5, basically. That's like one of the biggest boosts in the game. I don't even think Ozzel can get a change quite that drastic, well, maybe with the Gladiator, but yeah, it's pretty good fake out that you can manage. Again, the only problem is it's only on turns 1 and 5, and you could use it other times as well. So again, these type of effects are nice. There's there's other support teams that are going to do other things, but basically any effect that triggers off of a command, you can now afford to queue up another command on your dial and then have Garm give you a token so you can do 2 different things. That's always kind of nice, but it's not really the best. Next up, we're going to get into some Command 2 ships. These are slightly better. We're going to talk about Nebulons. You've got your support refit and your escort frigate. For these two, I think one of the things that's important to keep in mind is the carrier functionality. So the escort frigate is probably a better option, but not always. First, let's talk about Yavaris, because if you're going to run it as an escort, you're probably running Yavaris. A lot of times what I will do with a Nebulon is first turn, because now we're at Command 2, we're not wasting the benefit of Garm. A lot of times I'll take a squadron command right away with the Yavaris to bank, so I have that token. So this way, when the magic moment comes, I can activate 3 squadrons, and that is huge. But one of the things that I can do now is I can have I can start with a squadron token and maybe a nav token. Or even engineer. I don't think you really need concentrate fire as much with a Nebulon, but it's not bad. You still have a decent front arc. But yeah, so this way it allows me to nav first turn, maybe to keep up with my squadrons. Either way, it's giving you some flexibility, and I like that. One thing I'm going to throw out there is that if you do have, there's certain objectives that are going to change all of these things. There are some times where you do want to do, certain commands first turn. Maybe if you have your opponent in the ambush zone, you do want to be activating squadrons first turn. That's a really nice thing. And so Garm is definitely going to influence those objectives, because if you can start out closer to somebody else, Garm ends up being really, really good on the first turn if you end up deploying in shooting range of your opponent. So that's like a really nice way to be able to take advantage of Garm. That's a great way to use Garm with Yavaris as well. But there's another token I want to talk about, and it doesn't get used all that often, but it's Redemption. When a friendly ship at distance 1 through 5 resolves an engineering command, it gains an additional engineering point. This one is actually gives some extra use out of Garm, because a lot of times certain big ships will often take engineering and have engineering tokens because they need, for one, they have a higher engineering value, so they get a lot out of that token. They can, transfer 2 shields if they got an engineering value of 4. They can transfer 3 shields if they got a token and they have an engineering value of 5. So those things are great, but Redemption is just really nice because it turns all of those Garm engineering tokens into +1 engineering point, which is really nice, especially helps the small ships. So Redemption's a nice little title for that too. It kind of makes the token, in some cases, just as good as the full dial. So that's something that I think is worth considering. So we've got the Nebulons already. Let's go ahead and get into another Command 2 ship, the MC30. So the MC30, again, most of the time MC30 is going to be doing nav. So it doesn't really need the nav token as much, although it's not bad if because it has the capability to go speed 4. You can potentially stack the token with the command and do the hijinks of, I started off speed 1, but now I'm speed 3. I started off speed 2, and now I'm speed 4. Or now I need to slow down. Maybe you don't even do it first turn. Maybe you just save the token, and next turn you slow down. Get in a position, get right behind that Star Destroyer, slow down so you can turn around real sharp. Those are good things that an MC30 wants to do. But a lot of the other stuff it doesn't take. You don't really take Squadron with an MC30. They have a Squadron value of 1. You kind of don't need to do that. You can take one, though. If you are running an MC30 in a Squadron-heavy fleet, having that 1 extra Squadron command, or just that token, so you can just activate that +1, is sometimes really nice. But I think the bigger payoff here is going to be to utilize one of the new titles. If you want to run a whole bunch of MC ships and you're considering running the Mon Calamari Exodus fleet, this says, basically it's going to, kind of like how Redemption is making those tokens a little bit better, this one's giving you 2 additional engineering points when you do it. But this only works if you have a lot of ships that are, using the Exodus fleet title, or at least 2. And it's cool because they can piggyback off of each other. I'll use yours and you use mine. That's great. And it turns a token, now an MC30's token is worth 2. And if you have, if you have 2 of these guys and they're running it, that can get you 4 engineering points off of just a token. Well, suddenly that's really good. And if you've done the command and the token, well, you're looking at 3, 4, 5. You can get 7 that way, which is really something. Really something. And I like that. I like that a lot. So that's, Exodus Fleet is nice again. But it's generally you're not going to run the command dial. Most of the time people are just going to run the token. And that's, 4 is not half bad for these guys. I don't know if that really makes it worth, running these instead of the titles that come with them. But if maybe you wanted to run lots of MC30s, you might run Admonition if you want to run more. Or if you're running 4 MC30s, these do make pretty good titles. You just have to hope you don't get blown up right away, because these can really help you rebuild your shields that you may have just lost. 4 points is nothing to, nothing to shake a stick at. You can just recover 2, or you can recover 1 and then transfer 2 from the back to the front or something like that. It's, the Exodus Fleet is a very, very nice title, and it can also synergize with some of the bigger MC ships as well. So next up is the ship that Garm comes with, the Assault Frigate. Now, the assault frigate is a 3-command ship. Now, all of a sudden, we're getting into where you get a lot of tokens for what you get. Now, any 3-command ship is probably the best value for Garm because you're going to get 3 tokens. Again, you're still only, you're still stuck regenning. Like basically, you're probably going to have to do nav first turn, which sometimes is great. If you've set up in the perfect way, a lot of times maybe you don't need to do nav first turn. But, just having the extra yaw is kind of nice. But yeah, you're going to get 3 commands out of that. I don't think there's any titles that are really going to do a whole lot for this. But the Assault Frigate, I like the Assault Frigate Mark II-B better because it's generally set up to be a better carrier. So this can, they can let you activate 4 squadrons. Can give you the engineering command because you definitely want engineering on this guy. He's got a value of 4, so engineering gives you 2 just for a token, which is awfully nice. And, it's just an all-around good ship. And because it's a jack-of-all-trades kind of ship, it's good. Got good firepower, it's got good squadrons, it's got good engineering, it's got pretty good maneuverability. It's just an all-around good ship, so every token works well on here. So Garm really does work very, very well with the Assault Frigate. Moving up from this, we're going to get into some of the MC ships. And one of the reasons the MC ships are just so good with Garm is because you can run the Exodus Fleet title. That's one of the main reasons I have the the MC ships so high on here is because of this MC his title. I think if you're going to run Garm, this is a great way to go. Again, you have to run it with multiples, and it works nice if you're running MC30s with MC, because you can trigger off of each other. This thing can get a whole lot of extra points, and I love it. And so, you're looking at an engineering value of 4. Now, the MC75, being as tough of a ship as it is probably eventually going to run engineering quite a bit. And so later into the game, especially where that turn 5 Garm trigger comes into effect, it's really going to be helpful because you're probably will have used up all of your engineering tokens by then. So then he's going to let you be able to do your engineering command, give you a free token. So there's already 6, 7, 8 with the Exodus fleet. So you're looking at 8 points of engineering, which is 4 all new shields or any other combination. Maybe you'll get rid of 2 damage cards and then transfer 2 more shields to your most vulnerable side or something like that. It's just a tremendous amount of points. Plus, if you've got a redemption in that build as well, you can even get more out of it. But even if you're not doing engineering command, he's still giving you an awful lot with that Exodus Fleet title, and so that much is really cool. I'm a big fan of that. All right, after the MC75, let's go ahead and look at let's look at the MC80 Liberty style. MC80 Liberty. Again, we've got high engineering values on here. Not quite as many shields, so the Liberty is probably going to need the engineering help a little bit more. Still Command 3. We're still getting a lot of tokens. MC80 has a little bit more to offer, though. I mean, you still have the Exodus fleet. Still good there. No problems about that. But we have the Liberty title, which also works pretty well. We can put that on one of them. And this one is if you spent a squadron token, you may activate 1 additional squadron. And if you're running this as a carrier, which it can work as a carrier, it generally doesn't always work as a carrier. People usually build them as gunships, but this works well as a carrier if you have something to pass at tokens. And so having Garm definitely helps the Liberty be able to go ahead and have those tokens and be able to activate 4 squadrons this way, because the squadron value is only 2. If you did a squadron command and a token, the token will give you 3, and then the title gives you 4. So you can do that as well. Additionally, engine techs is something you can potentially put on the MC80 Star Cruiser, since we have the support team. So you can really get some crazy maneuverability out of this big ship, which is really fun. And again, you need the nav token. So you're running so between this ship, there's you have potential for the the engineering token to give you a benefit, the squadron token to give you a benefit, and the nav token to give you a benefit, depending on how you're doing it. You could also, in theory, if you're running Exodus Fleet, you could even run something like this with engineering team to have it give you +1 more, right? So that's another thing. And again, I'm going to go back to if you're running your Nebulon, then you can also get 1 more from that. But no, I'm going to say not engine techs, but we also have projection experts, which is another option for Garm. This one may not be the best choice for an MC80 Liberty style, but it depends, because the other MC80 also has this. Projection experts is another option that you can run with MC80s, or anybody with the support team. Just, you know, throw on shields, and all of a sudden I've got the, you know, I've got a token, and now I'm getting, you know, I exhausted Exodus fleet. I'm getting 4 engineering points now, and now I can, you know, send 2 over to you and then regenerate one of the ones that I lost. It's really great. So a lot of flexibility you can do with the MC80 Liberty. And my number one is going to be the original MC80. Original MC80 is pretty much, I think, the best choice for Garm. But it's kind of a toss-up, because I think from the assault frigate, all of the Command 3 ships are very, very good. But they're all good for different reasons, and I think the MC80 might end up needing Garm more so. One of the reasons is, while we do have things like engineering team and projection experts that are great options, I think the MC80 needs engine techs more so than just about any other ship, just because it's only speed 2 and it can't speed up. And it really needs to be able to go fast. And of course, it also can take the Exodus fleet. Exodus fleet's really, really nice with the token. And so you're getting multiple tokens. Again, you're not going to start maybe, you know, turn 1 this way, but this also allows you to potentially do nav for your first turn, not waste it, because you've got engine tech. So even if you're pointed the exact right direction, you've still done a nav command, so you can trigger engine techs. But secondly, it allows you to maybe queue up a concentrate fire on your second turn. And the reason why that's so cool is you'll have all your tokens already. So now you can spend, you know, a nav token and maybe a squadron token to move some of your squadrons, you know, or one of your squadrons, or an engineering token if you get shot. You know, if you moved 3 spaces forward on the first turn, and now maybe they had a fast-moving ship, and now you're taking fire already, you can now do engineering on the second turn, but you're not wasting very much with an MC80 with engine techs. I did say this was at the top of the line, but it's not, because there's one more ship that I think works out just a little bit better with Garm, and that's the Pelta. The Pelta, for a couple of all different reasons. Now, this is not an MC ship. But I think this is definitely one of the best options. I'm putting it at the top because of the fleet command. And fleet command, we've got one for every different title. If you're running multiple Peltas, that's even better. But generally, when you're running a Pelta, you can find yourself being stuck just doing a command, not taking it, just taking a token to fund the next turn's event. I tend to like to run Intensify Firepower, but I'll put a couple of different ones out here because there's multiple ways you can run this. The other thing is that this is also a slow ship, so really kind of needs engine techs, really kind of does. So again, you're not necessarily wasting stuff if you do nav first turn, but the really great reason that I have this on here, it's a toss-up. I mean, engine techs is a good reason to have it. The fleet command is a really great reason, but also the title Phoenix Home is really, really important, because it's going to give you an additional officer, but the thing is that you can be assigned up to 4 command tokens instead of a number of command tokens equal to your command value. Now, this doesn't mean that Garm gives this thing 4 command tokens. Your command value is still 2. This is just raising the cap on how many you can have. So Garm is going to give you 2 tokens at the beginning, but now you're still free to bank a token on the first turn and even the second turn if you need to. You probably won't, though. One of the things that this allows you to, depending on what you're doing, like I would say in this case, maybe you're running some slower squadrons, maybe you're running some bombers, and you want to use all fighters follow me to make your fighters a little bit faster. Like maybe you're going to run B-wings or something like that, and you want them to be able to move up to speed 3, and that is great. So you've got maybe all fighters follow me on your Phoenix Home, and you're running this one maybe as a carrier. Maybe you're going to run Adar Talon on him, and maybe Lando to help keep you alive, or maybe Hondo to fill in the gaps from what in the turns in between Garm, you know, and something like that. You know, there's lots of other options. Actually, Hondo is probably not the best option there with a slower ship, but let's increase our hangar value by 1. Sure, you know, so we want all of this crazy stuff. And the only thing that would make this better is if they had the weapons team. That would be really, really nice. But so a ship like this is just great for a number of reasons. For one, we can start off with a squadron token and maybe a nav token, and then first turn we don't have to nav. We can spend the squadron token, and we can take maybe an engineering token first turn. We can have 3 tokens. Our command value is only 2, but it's that Phoenix Home title that kind of puts this one over the top, that put it into the first place option for me. It allows you to save up tokens, and then even turn 2, you can take a 4th token if you want. You're going to be probably spending stuff with All Fighters Follow Me, but if you don't need to yet, if it's a slow-moving game, sometimes your opponent deploys a speed 1, and it's going to be turn 3 or even 4 before you engage. Well, now you are free to save all those until like turn 4, use all of your tokens on one mega turn, and then at the start of turn 5, not get everything back, but get 2 free tokens back. Then maybe you trigger Hondo, you just reload and shoot again. So a lot of flexibility there with the Phoenix Home title, and also the fleet command. So 2 really nice, unique things for the Pelta, and I think the command ship is the better option because of the squadron value of 3 versus the assault ship with only the squadron value of 1. So that's what I think about our man Garm Bel Iblis. But I would love to hear what you think. Do you rank him a little differently than I do? What do you think about Garm Bel Iblis? Don't forget, if you like this video, guys, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Enter to win that giveaway. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Big thanks to all of my patrons on Patreon as well. You guys are awesome. I want to thank you all so much. If you're coming down to regionals in Florida on December 1st, let me know down in the comments below. We're going to be having it very close to me at Cool Stuff Waterford, so I will be there. And it should be a fun Saturday. So hope to see you there. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, have a great day.